Excuse the slight break while I alt-tab to hit the recording button.
How was it?
Worst weather I've ever seen.
You should put some coffee on. It'll warm you up.
Be careful, Alan. You may want to make sure that there isn't a fish in the percolator.
Coffee's on.
Great, thanks. I'll need it if I'm gonna finish this by tomorrow.
Also, as you may have guessed, least-wise due to the fact that I chose the original instead of the remaster, this is the original and not the remaster. Least-wise because I and my author choose not to engage with the Epic Store at all. It's part of the reason why we have not touched Control in so long, despite it allegedly continuing the story of Alan Wake in a few capacities. Also, though the game is relatively quiet at the moment, if you could tell me whether or not my voice is alright compared to the mixing of the game, or if I need to alter anything.
Oh, hey, I just finished those cover mock-ups. They're on your desk. Tell me what you think.
No kidding. I didn't think you'd get them done this quickly.
On occasion, I can perform all sorts of miracles, my dear.
Oh, really?
Well, you seemed to think so last night.
These look really good.
Oh, sure, until Barry gets his hands on them. Which, by the way, will happen over my dead body. The last time was the last time. Oh, and speaking of Barry, he called. Alan! Alan! Please check the fuse box!
I'm right.
It's true what they say about the fall and the sudden stop at the end. I'd lain here in the snow while the lurid chain of scenes that had led me here kept playing in my head. A rerun of my own private snuff movie. A memory of my corpse. Alone at my own wake. Thinking in metaphors again. The femme fatale was gone. Only a sour taste remained of the kiss that killed me. This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me. It had been a long time to bear the pain. My blood painted the snow red. A gruesome slushy dissolved all the scattered painkillers and leisurely dripped down to the sewer, mingling with the bile of the city, becoming one with it. I can see them now, my wife and my baby. Honey, I'm home.
Here. I'm on it, honey.
Please hurry!
The Fall of Casey, The Things That I Want, Alex Casey, What I Can't Forget, and Return to Sender.
I really don't like this, Alan. Please hurry!
My apologies, dear, but you are but an NPC, and I have all the time in the world. In a flashback.
I really need those lights on!
Have you attempted to go near a window? It is, in fact, day outside.
Alan, please! Check the fuse box!
Honey, it's a power outage. I've got the flashlight.
Okay.
I would assume she would not be asking you to check the fuse box if not for the fact that she assumed it was a power outage.
Hi.
You okay?
I'm sorry. It just really spooked me.
Don't worry. We'll just break out the candles.
I know it's stupid, but it's just... especially when I'm not prepared for it, you know? It gets to me.
I love you.
Tell me a story, writer.
Okay. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid. The dark really spooked me, too. When it got really bad, my mom gave me this old light switch. She called it the clicker.
The clicker, huh?
Yeah. If I ever got scared of the dark, I could just flip the switch and a magic light would scare the monsters away.
Oh, sure.
Here it is.
Alan.
Maybe it'll help you, too.
Yeah, nice story, writer boy. You made that up right now, didn't you?
No. Seriously.
I love you. Even if you are a liar. Thanks for this.
How do you feel, Mr. Wake? Any nausea, disorientation, anything like that? Mr. Wake, how are you feeling?
Not
I'm
good,
okay.
I take
My
it.
head's fine. I had to lie about my headache and memory loss. He'd send me to a hospital for tests. I couldn't leave without Alice.
Very well. I don't think you have a concussion, but you've obviously been through quite a shock. You should take it easy for a couple of days.
Thanks.
Well then, Mr. Wake, we're done here. If the pain gets any worse or you experience any other symptoms, you should come see me. I'll let you get on with it then. Sarah, Sheriff Breaker, is waiting for you. She's very good at her job. I'm sure she can locate your wife in no time.
Doc Nelson was the image of a small-town doctor. Sheriff Breaker had called him to the station to take a look at the cut in my head. I'm sorry you had to cut your morning fishing short for this, Doc.
Oh, she's a beauty, ain't she? Not the biggest I ever caught, if you can believe that coming from an old fisherman like me, but she's right up there. Now, she's a largemouth bass, which is what you're after if you prefer a lure. Now, if you want either trout or salmon, on the other hand, then it's fly fishing for you. You a fishing man, Mr. Wake? Oh, doesn't really matter, I suppose. But it can be very relaxing out there. You can't get me off the water this time of year. Closest thing to heaven.
I'll take your word for it, Doc.
Well, I do suppose it is a spot better than finding a girl in a garbage bag. I wonder how many people will get confused by the continual Twin Peak references.
Thank you for testing the lights, Miss Weaver. Everything seems to be fine.
I don't have the luxury of being complacent, Deputy Grant. The bulbs will need changing soon. You can't change them in the dark.
I'll be sure to take care of it, Miss Weaver. Have a nice day now.
Very good. I'll come back later on to remind you, just in case.
Mr. Wake, the sheriff is waiting for you in her office down the corridor.
Thank you.
That was Cynthia Weaver.
Ah,
I guess
you weren't
can
done
call her the
talking.
town
All right.
eccentric. She used to be the editor of the local newspaper, but she's focused on, other things these days.
She'd fit right in where I come from.
As you can see, she's a little obsessed with maintaining the light bulbs of the whole town, refuses to step on shadows, things like that. Back in her day, she wrote about all sorts of weird things in the paper. Bright Falls has a colorful history. Of course, what small town hasn't?
True enough. Although, many might find the attempt to keep an entire town illuminated rather admirable.
The sheriff wants to see you in her office, Mr. Wake.
Yes, I heard, but I'm going this way first, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Yeah, it's Mulligan here. I'm at Stucky's gas station with Thornton. There's no sign of him. Over.
Wait. Yeah, this is Thornton. Look, we've located the parade float. It's here. That's some good news, right? Stucky was supposed to be driving it at the rehearsals today. Over.
Oh, give me that. Mulligan here. Looks like someone really thrashed the garage. Over.
Okay, roger that, guys. Keep looking for Stucky. Jane's out.
Sheriff Breaker is waiting for you down the corridor in her office.
I did not intend to climb on the chair. So I would assume that is meant to be a cat, but with the bar over its eyes like that, it almost appears to be a raccoon. Missing Richard Bow, Bruce Dansky, Jacob Miller. On a camping trip overdue, haven't been in contact. If you have seen them or know their whereabouts, please call that number. Thank you. Knack for winning contests. Why is the cat the only one I cannot read?
Come in, Mr. Wake. Your phone's on the desk. The battery was dead. It's charged now.
Ah, thank you kindly.
Have you started looking for my wife yet?
My men are already on it. Now, can you tell me what happened?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. We were arguing. I walked out of the cabin.
The cabin on Cauldron Lake?
How did you end up at Stucky's gas station?
I wanted to tell her what had happened last night, but I couldn't. She'd locked me up.
Just
Excuse me.
tell her that
I
you
need to
got
take this.
into a car crash and wandered through the forest.
Hello?
That's pretty
Alice,
believable.
Please help me.
Alice?
Stop talking to the law. You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
Who is this?
Go to the back lot. There's a hole in the fence on the left. Look inside the junker. I left a little something there to convince you we're all on the same page here. After you ditch the cops, you're gonna meet me in Elderwood National Park. There's a spot called Lover's Peak. Midnight. Don't do nothing stupid, pal. We're watching you.
I need some fresh air. Can I go out? In the back, maybe?
Of course, Mr. Wake. I understand. You can get there through the cells. Deputy Grant can show you the way.
I'm sorry. All of this, it's just a lot to take in.
Take your time, Mr. Wake. I understand. Can I ask you what the call was about, Mr. Wake?
It's personal.
Well, we are looking for your wife, and I'm going to need your cooperation if I'm going to help you.
I need a moment, after I get some fresh air.
Okay. You can find me here. We'll talk when you feel up to it.
Oh, that's just those.
Mr. Wake, can I help you with anything?
I need to get some air. The sheriff said I could go out back.
Of course, Mr. Wake. You can get there through the cell corridor. Just don't mind Walter in there. He's one of our regulars.
I thought he'd quit drinking for good.
Oh, no such luck. He went on a bender and beat Danny pretty badly. He started shouting like that the moment he woke up. You can get to the back lot through that door and down the corridor.
mister! Hey, can you turn the lights on? The deputies, they don't understand. They won't listen to me. I need it to be bright in here. Thank you, man, thank you. Hey, you're all right. You're a good guy. Don't let anybody tell you different. You know, I shouldn't even be in here. The cops, they got it all wrong. See, sure, I beat him up, but I wasn't drunk. I mean, I wasn't drunk at the time. I only got drunk afterward. Okay, listen. You gotta listen carefully now.
I'm listening.
Here's the
Go
kicker.
on.
That wasn't Danny. No, sir. It only looked like him. You wanna know who it really was? I'll tell you who it really was. It was a goddamn space alien! I know it sounds like something a drunk would say, but believe me, I wasn't drunk then.
And how could you tell this Danny was an alien? Well, go on.
I told him, oh yeah, well, I don't hear you. Where on your feet?
Well, perhaps you can tell me later.
Stick by what I stick one of.
In spite of its human mask, to describe the Dark Presence as intelligent would have implied human qualities on something decidedly inhuman. Nonetheless, it found the one spot in the diner that was dark enough. Some light spilled into the corridor, ravaging it. But it took the pain. Horrible as it was, the writer would soon fix that. He would be coming to the one place where it still had power. The early morning light hurt my eyes and made my head ache. The man on the phone had said, go through the fence on the left.
Well, folks, it's been another long night, and it's about time for me to sign off for a while. God knows I need my beauty sleep. Just one more item before I go. It's been a busy night for the Sheriff's Department. We've had a few broken windows, even a report of shots fired on Main Street. Deputies Mulligan and Thornton had to deal with two intoxicated young men who were celebrating the completion of their Deerfest float. Now, folks, we get this every year. I know it's exciting that the big day's almost here, but let's save it for the party and leave the gunplay for the shooting competition, huh? There's no point in getting all worked up yet.
The caller had told me to find a hole in the fence behind the police station. There was something for me in an abandoned car.
Yes, I'm quite sure nobody heard that.
Alice's driver's license had been placed on the front seat. The caller meant business.
Barry?
Ow! Ow! Thank God! Where the hell have you been? I've been trying to reach you for a week, you and Alice. I've been worried sick. I flew out yesterday. I'm here in Bright Falls.
Barry, listen to me. I'm at the sheriff's station. Come and get me. I can't talk now.
Al, what the hell is going on?
I had to get the sheriff to let me go. I needed to get to Elderwood National Park to meet Alice's kidnappers.
Is there anything else scattered about? Does not appear to be so.
A writer is a light that reveals the world of his story from darkness, shapes it from nothingness. The way a sculptor carves a statue from a block of granite. If I stop, the world I'm making dies. Darkness will reclaim it. It's a long, hard journey into the dark. Alice's life is at stake, but I can't think about that, or I'll lose it. The dread lingers at the edge of perception. I'll push on. Anything is possible here. I'll write the story. I'll save her.
Marvelous, Sarah. I just wanted to settle all the damage the Anderson brothers might have inadvertently caused on their recent and regrettable little outing. They are not accountable for their actions, of course. I can assure you that my staff has been reprimanded.
Tor and Odin never caused any trouble to anyone when they were still living at their farm.
Indeed. All we can do is to slow down the progress of their dementia.
Are you feeling any better, Mr. Wake?
I'd like to leave. Am I free to go?
Well, we still need to talk about...
Am I under arrest?
No, of course not. But I need to know where you'll be staying so I can get in touch with you.
I'd avoid the motel. The Majestic is known for its roaches. The cabins at Elderwood are pretty nice, though.
That sounds perfect.
I'm Dr. Emil Hartman. I'd like to invite you to stay at Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Did you talk to my wife?
I had the pleasure of discussing your situation with her on several occasions.
Did you set something up with her?
I invited her here. My clinic is a place where...
Oh! Hey! Oh my!
Take it easy.
Hey, nobody move! Get your hands off of my client!
Who are you?
I'm Barry Wheeler, his agent. If you have business with Mr. Wake, you talk to me. You yokels won't know what hit you once I sick my lawyers on your asses.
No harm done, Sarah. I'm all right. I don't want to press charges. Mr. Wake, my offer still stands.
Now, I'm not saying that this man is most certainly not deserving of such a punch to the face.
What the hell was that about,
But
Al?
in that instant, I do
a
not
replay
think
of
Alan
that
should have
thing with
punched
the
him.
paparazzi. I thought they were gonna lock you up.
But he totally deserved the punch
I
to the
had
face.
to talk to someone. I told Barry everything.
Just not for
He
that.
thought I was certifiable, but when he heard about the manuscript, I had him. The fact that I'd written something, even if I couldn't remember it, was enough for him. He smelled money. And he believed that Alice had been kidnapped. Anything beyond that was another story. I had a midnight appointment with the kidnapper in a place called Lover's Peak, somewhere in Elderwood National Park. The plan was to rent a cabin.
I don't like it, Al. I don't like any of it. It's not good. In fact, it's the absolute opposite of good.
Mr. Wake! Barry, you found him!
Hi, Rose.
Oh, wow. I was just thinking about you, too.
Great.
I was just bringing Rusty some coffee. He's on the balcony, looking after Max. Poor thing. I really need to go. Great to see you again, Mr. Wake. Later!
Who's Max?
What an airhead.
Jeez, Mr. Takes a Swing at everybody. This is not her fault. She's a very nice girl and, more importantly, a fan. She even has a fan site dedicated to you. And she was very helpful when I was looking for you. Seriously, Al, what you were saying in the car? Just listen to yourself. What, you shot a guy and his body just disappeared? When was the last time you slept? What, are you high? Have you been drinking?
No! Look, Barry, I'm missing a week, and someone's got Alice.
Do
and
you
everything's just...
understand what it sounds like when you say stuff like that? Don't get me wrong, it's a good story, could be a bestseller. But when you start confusing fiction with reality, you're buying yourself a ticket to the funny farm.
Wait here.
Bucktooth Charlie, Columbian mammoth. Amathus columbi. This specimen, estimated to be 14,000 years old, was recovered from the La Brea tar pits in 1981. It was donated to the Elderwood National Park in 1998 when the Columbian mammoth became Washington's state fossil. Named Bucktooth Charlie, it has since become the park's national mascot. Or official mascot, my apologies. There I go, stealing coffee thermoses again. I suppose Max is a dog.
Easy there, boy. I'm almost done.
Hey, Rusty, right? You rent cabins.
Oh, Mr. Wake. I'd shake your hand, but mine are kind of full here. Actually, I'm sorry about this. Would you mind grabbing the registration form from the desk? It's just across from Bucktooth Charlie.
Okay, sure. What happened?
Crazy poachers. Max here got his foot caught in a trap. They're illegal to use here. Hell, you're not supposed to hunt within the park at all. But that doesn't stop some lowlifes. Well, at least Max is gonna be okay. He got lucky. Max is still groggy from the shot I gave him, and I'd rather not leave him alone just yet. The form's on the desk across from the mammoth skeleton.
Seriously, Al, you can't just go and meet a kidnapper. Those situations always end up in disaster. You gotta talk to the cops.
She's my wife, and it's my call. Can we talk about this later?
No. This whole thing... Listen, you hit your head. I mean, geez, Al, come on. You gotta understand how crazy all this sounds. If you're trying to pull a joke on me, freak me out, it's working. Ha ha, let's have a laugh on Barry. Well, you had me going there real funny, Al. You can quit it now.
Unfortunately, it's not a joke.
I think this is the form you wanted.
And here are the keys. Okay, you're all set, Mr. Wake. Glad to have you staying here.
Thanks. Can you tell me how to get to Lover's Peak?
Oh, sure. It's at the end of the nature trail. Just follow the paths, you'll get to it eventually. It's an easy walk. Nice spot, too.
Thank you.
If you have any trouble finding it, just keep your eyes on the radio mast. It's right below that. Oh, and hey, if you take a walk in the woods, watch your steps so you don't end up like Max. I guess I'm a little worried. We got a bunch of campers out there we haven't heard from. It's not like these people are on a schedule, but with the traps, well, you know. I just don't want any trouble.
Right, thanks.
Look, Al, you're asking me to believe that you shot a dude who went poof into thin air, a guy who was bulletproof until you pointed a flashlight at him. You hear that from people who end up spending time in padded rooms, strapped to their beds, wearing white shirts with too long tangled up sleeves, and eating a healthy diet of pills. Al, you make cruel jokes about people who believe that kind of stuff. You're the skeptic. You gave me an hour-long lecture on homeopathy last month. What was it? If there's no proof, it's pure bullshit. Period.
Guess the laugh's on me then.
Al, come on! I mean, okay. Okay, maybe something weird happened to you, okay?
Well, thanks for the heartfelt vote of confidence.
All I'm saying is you gotta throw me a bone here, bestseller. What would you think if it was me? There's no way you should be going out at midnight with a gun.
No one asked you to come here, Barry. Either work with me on this or go straight back to New York. Your choice.
That's just crazy talk, Al. Al? Al? We should go to the sheriff or call the FBI.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her! This is not a goddamn debate, Barry. I'm going to Lover's Peak. He said to come alone.
Okay then. I understand.
For an angry
You're my best
knocking
friend,
down
I'm
of a
worried that
lamp,
you're not
that was
right
a
in the
rather
head.
impotent sound.
Tell me what to do to help, and I'll do it.
You stay here, and if I'm not back by morning, call the cavalry.
Just be careful with the natives, Al. These yokels are dangerous. Everybody hates a tourist, or it'll be Deliverance all over again.
Well,
Bless you.
there's no banjos, but they're certainly coming after me with plenty of
There's mold
hatchets.
in here, spores, poison ivy, God knows what. This is so not worth a 15% commission.
Lock the door when I leave.
Yeah, you go ahead and do what you have to do. I'll be fine. Alone, but fine. In a cabin straight from a horror movie.
A horror video game. Much more different. It means we have some amount of agency. Some. Why is there a locked door in our own cabin?
I'll wait here, Al. I'll hold down the fort. I'll be with you in spirit every step of the way, Al. Locking the door now.
Barry had never gotten along with Alice, but he knew Alan loved her with an almost frightening intensity. And now something had happened to Alice. And here was Al armed with a gun and saying things people got put in padded cells for. It was as if his friend had experienced a massive psychotic episode and was now totally disconnected from reality. It scared the shit out of Barry.
A fair concern. Not that he's coming along. Granted, he did stay put, he did lock the door, and they did request that we come alone.
Barry had the keys to the car he rented. Wasn't a long walk to the visitor center, and it wouldn't be any use to me in the forest. I knew I should have gone to the cops. This wasn't the smartest thing I'd ever done, but I was still angry with Barry for trying to talk me out of it. These people had called me right in the sheriff's station. The cops wouldn't scare them, and they had Alice.
That's not a good sound.
Welcome back to the show, folks. As promised, our very own Dr. Nelson has just parked his rear end in the studio. Doc, what's your Deerfest plan like?
My plan? You make it sound a lot more organized than I ever seem to manage. No plan, really. Just taking the atmosphere. I'm getting a little too rickety to do much more than that, you know.
Oh, tell me about it. No sack race for us older gentlemen, huh?
Yes, exactly, Pat. But I'm gonna check out the parade, of course. And I'll be one of the pie contest judges, too.
Well, that takes a different kind of constitution.
Oh, yeah. It's my kind of exercise.
Now, Doc, seriously, you're in pretty good shape, though. You're the outdoors type. I know for a fact you're an avid fisherman.
That's right. Matter of fact, just caught a heck of a largemouth bass early this morning.
But you're not taking part in the fishing contest?
No, not this year. See, Pat, I'm just not that competitive anymore. Now I just like to take my time and enjoy the peace of it. It's no fun if I need to worry about what I'm catching, you know?
Well, considering your track record, the participants are probably pretty happy you feel that way.
Well, Pat, that's kind of you to say.
Going to Alt-Tab for a moment. I see he left. Ah, well. The one friendly face, alas. Note occurs to me that I forgot to advertise on Twitter. Ah, well. Well, that's never a good sign. Elderwood Nature Trail, Moonshine Cave, and Lover's Peak. What did that poor door ever do to you, Alan?
Crime and punishment. The cancer and cure of civilization. But some crimes are impossible to punish, especially in Night Springs. Tonight's episode, The Man in the Mirror.
He's inside, Agent. He's a weird one.
So, you're confessing to killing that guy, huh? Why?
Had it coming?
Yeah, but why would you do that? I mean, you're a nice guy. Normal. Took your kid to a soccer game. So how come at the game, you pick a guy and, quoting from the arresting officer's report here, assault the victim's head area repeatedly with the weapon of choice being a pair of bare fists? Wow, that sentence really flows, huh? Maybe you're not the literary type. Okay, so you mess him up. But why? Who was that guy? We couldn't ID him. Why would a guy like you do him like that?
I didn't like his face?
Well, you must have hated it, because you really went to town there. I mean, there's no way to tell what he looked like. No ID on him either.
That must be difficult.
But then we ran the fingerprints. Got a match. Your prints. Identical.
Huh, how about that?
Your son said you were wearing a white shirt when you took him to the game. The white shirt is on the dead guy.
It's plenty red now.
You won't get away with this.
Do you really think that's in any way relevant to me? I had plenty of time to talk to my boy before the cops arrived, you know? He won't stop screaming, am I right? You think he's ever gonna be okay? I left my mark. Believe me.
You bastard.
What? You gonna shoot me? What's the point? I'm going to prison. You got me.
I don't understand any of this.
And you never will. Don't worry. Maybe you'll see me again, Agent. Maybe in the mirror.
Perhaps you should have taken a shot at him.
The air in the visitor center was heavy with an awful smell, as if some rotten drowned thing had crawled up from its grave. Rusty kept coughing blood. My eyes were drawn to the twisted shape of his broken leg. The attack had been vicious. Max whined in his cage. Rusty's eyes were wild with fear and terror. He gasped. "Mr. Wake, it happened just the way it was on that page."
Well, that's never a good sign.
The vision left me weak. This was no head injury.
Rusty, hang on! I'm coming! Please, help me! Help me!
I'm going as fast as my limited endurance will allow.
Hello?
I'm back here. Hey,
Mr. Wake?
Oh, hell.
It happened just the way it was on that page. I found. Came true. It knew. So dark. It'll come back for me. You must... The lights. In the office. I have the key.
Okay, Rusty. Hang on. I'll be right back. Whatever did this couldn't be far. Rusty had found a page from the manuscript. It would help me understand what had happened. Shh. Good boy.
Ah, there's the office. Across the way. Barely far away from poor Rusty.
The only way to make sure that Rusty was safe was to get the power running and the lights back on. At the last instant, I changed direction and threw myself down. The axe splintered the trunk of a tree. I stumbled into the pool of bright light. My lungs burned. I was too exhausted to move. I tensed as I waited for the killing blow, but it never came. I raised my head. Nothing moved in the darkness beyond. For the moment, bathed in the cold light, I was safe. I was too late. Someone had
Well,
destroyed the
that
circuit
appears to be
breaker.
quite
There was no way to get
unfortunate.
the lights back on.
Rusty!
The ground was covered with oily patches that looked like liquid darkness.
Well, evidently they also hurt to walk upon. Well, I guess we can say goodbye to poor Rusty.
The visitor center was sturdy, but the impact turned the front of the building into splinters. Rusty was thrown across the lobby like a rag doll and hit the far wall hard. It didn't hurt until he tried to move and saw his leg bend the wrong way, felt the broken ribs stabbing him on the inside. Rusty howled in pain and fear, suddenly afraid to die alone.
Alas, Alan, you left him to just that.
Something had torn a mammoth-sized hole in the wall.
Please don't feed the animals.
Speaking of, we appear to be missing a certain dog.
Who purges up, Park? License, obey! At all times. Rusty, no! Never! Two bears and wolves! Never approach any other closer than 25 yards.
Yeah. See you, Rusty.
Never leave your pet unattended. It is against the law to remove any natural objects or historical artifacts.
Are you doing alright, Rusty? You seem to be having some trouble navigating.
This includes even rocks. You may find along the river.
I do believe the enemy is attempting to run away from me. And thus, Rusty died as he died, with a scream followed by a whimper. Alright, time to get back on track. This way. That can't be good.
What the hell was that? I saw from the window. I saw something.
Forget about it, Barry. It's just me going crazy.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. You're not crazy. I wish you were crazy, but you're not crazy. Ow, be careful.
Stay in the cabin. Don't open the door for anyone. I mean it.
In that last instant of consciousness, Rusty thought about Rose. He was older than she was. Rose was barely out of her teens, but she made him feel young and forget what a train wreck his long-dead marriage had been. He still wore the ring. He'd been waiting for her to tell him to take it off. Now she never would.
Alas, poor Rusty, we barely knew you. And now we never will. A tragedy. Human life, so terribly fleeting.
Lover's Peak was at the far end of the nature trail.
It appears that our ally may have hidden something where the moon doth shine. Moonshine Cave. This cave was the site of frequent and lucrative bootleg... I saw you up there. A frequent and lucrative bootlegger activity through the Prohibition. It was mostly used for temporary storage of alcohol smuggled from Canada. At times, alcohol was also distilled on a premises. Ah, a shotgun. How kind. I'll keep that handy for later. Alt-tabbing again, once more briefly. Just going through the users that may or may not be in chat. Greetings, O Hatsumi. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. Was that really necessary? Ah, hello. You're a bit late there on the jump scare game. Ow. Ah. That's slightly more concerning. Strange. I thought there were 4 of them. Well, the shotgun was nice while it lasted, I suppose.
Nobody in Bright Falls seemed to know where Al was, but Rose, the waitress at the diner, had seen him. From what Barry could tell, Al pretty much fell off the face of the earth when he left the diner. Rose was just the kind of fan that Al hated, but she really tried to help. She was smart too, knew a lot about what was going on in the town, knew a lot about Al, even knew who Barry was. Barry liked her. That was no big surprise. When it came to women, Barry and Al rarely saw eye to eye.
Well, seeing as Al is a married man, you know, this seems quite like an area in which I would be suddenly ambushed. The Great Old One, felled by lightning, and I was reading that. In 1937. I suppose I shall take a brief respite. Ah, shotgun ammo. How useful. This exceptionally tall Rocky Mountain Douglas fir, I'm not going to attempt to read that, was over 200 years old. According to local legends, it stretched beyond the stars. After it fell, it was measured to be 66 meters tall, nearly a record length. Perhaps I cannot kill multiple with one stroke in this game. Alas. You know, Alan, for an author who's never held a gun except at a range, you seem to be quite handy. You missed. No, someone seems to not have a very high opinion of public property. Someone's going to have to come out here and fix all of these phone booths. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen a phone booth in any of the parks I've visited. I can imagine it would be quite useful.
I turned the corner, afraid of what the flashlight's beam might reveal. Suddenly, a roughly painted symbol of a torch glowed in the light. Behind it, hidden by a rock, sat a battered metal trunk. It was here for a reason. Packed with supplies, batteries, flares, ammo. Things you need to make it through the darkness of the night. Something left behind by someone who knew what I knew, and more.
Well, that's vaguely concerning. Come now, I dodged that fair and square. Evidently, the game does not enjoy me dodging backwards. Get off the table, Al. Quite a bit of side areas that are entirely empty. Good job, Al. That's how you don't dodge. A flare actually would come in great handy right about now. Well, I suppose if it's the fight you want. Then it's a fight you shall have. Nothing useful up here. Ah well, forward we march to Lover's Peak, through tree. Yes, Al, because surely there is absolutely no way you could, well, actually I do believe I'm supposed to go over that. Never mind, I retract my sarcasm for now. The tree this ring was cut from started growing in 1846, the year the Oregon Treaty was signed. Other notable events marked on the rings: 1853, the Washington Territory was formed. 1878, the founding of the Bright Falls Mining Company and the town itself. 1889, Washington was granted statehood. 1929, tree damaged in a forest fire. 1970, the Bright Falls Mining Company closes its doors after volcanic eruption below Cauldron Lake. 1980, Mount St. Helens erupts. 1987, tree felled by storm. Interesting, I suppose. But alright, moving on once more.
Agent Nightingale didn't want to be in Bright Falls. These little communities revolted him, and he didn't like the trees or the coffee. He now knew that impossible horrors lurked behind the storefronts and smiles. He desperately wanted to turn the car around and just drive until he passed out or ran out of road and booze. But he had a job to do. He had a rider to catch, at any cost.
You know, just to make sure you don't confuse him with another notable coffee-loving, pine tree-adoring FBI agent.
Shit.
Well, if Alan didn't have a concussion already, ramming headfirst into steel might do it.
Come on, we gotta get moving. More of them coming. That flashlight's kid stuff. The flares will keep the bastards away.
Yes, temporarily, whereas I have a great deal of batteries.
You can see them too? Hell, of course I see them. Come on, we gotta move. Why? Because that's the way the story goes.
Yeah, but...
Let's move!
I lost my gun back there.
Oh, I've got a gun. Just keep that light steady on him.
It took a moment, but then I recognized him. He'd been on the ferry when I first arrived here with Alice. He knew my name. We were headed in the direction of Lover's Peak. There was no way this was a coincidence. He was the kidnapper.
Come on, Wake! You better keep up. Hear that? It's them.
Well, at least he isn't a terrible shot. But then again, that may also be a bad thing.
That's what I got for you. Lover's Peak. Right up these stairs, Wake. Use the flares from the emergency box to hold them off while I get these boards off.
Give me the gun.
Yeah, no can do, Wake.
Are you kidding? Give me the gun!
No time for back talk. Hold them off, damn it. A little longer. Scare them off.
He just casually pushed me.
That'll keep them off us.
Just a little casual nudge.
Just a little longer. I almost got it. Okay, it's open. Move it or lose it. Bullseye! Oh, you feeling better now, Wake? All cozy and safe. Better get ready. They'll be on us soon.
You know, for someone who's attempting to threaten me and is intentionally withholding a gun because he's concerned I might use it on him, You sure seem to be, well, allowing me quite close within arm's length.
There's more flares here. Get ready. We fight them as long as they keep coming. Give me the goddamn gun. They're coming.
Ah, there's a thermos.
Go. Get with the program, Wake.
I'll be right back. Ah, evidently I dodged something.
That's right.
Unfortunately, not terrible does not equate to good. Slightly. There we are.
Already died. This is a piece of cake, Wake.
Would you kindly shoot at the ones behind us? I do believe that bounced right off him. Narrowly avoided death. Leastwise, because someone would not give me the gun.
Cut the act now. Where's my wife?
I knew you were gonna say that. I read it all before. You're a hell of a writer. Congratulations. You're gonna bring about something glorious and terrible once we get you some proper editorial control.
What the hell are you talking about? Where's Alice?
I want the entire manuscript, or she's gonna suffer bad.
You touch her mouth.
It's at that moment the kidnapper realized he fucked up.
No! Come back here! I swear I'll kill you if you hurt Alice! Do you hear me? Come back here! He had Alice, and he wanted the manuscript because he thought it held some magical power. But I had no manuscript to give him. I had to get back to Barry and figure out my next move. On more than one occasion, Alice had tried to explain to me how it felt to be afraid of the dark. To her, darkness wasn't simply the absence of light, but something more tangible than that. It was something you could touch and feel. Worse than that, it was something with a mind of its own, something malicious and malign. For her, things changed when they were wrapped in darkness. They turned into something else, something foreign, and nothing was safe or innocent anymore. I'd never really understood what she meant, until now.
Well, at least that appears to be a real crow. You're not very subtle. Nor is that, really. Well, it does not appear as though I can interact with it, so I shall simply leave it be. It appears as though the traps litter the forest. I am quite curious as to why there are traps scattered around here if there's nothing over here to find. Or perhaps there is, simply on the harder difficulties. Alas. Do you think that's quite enough bear traps? My goodness. I wish I could place this many when I played a Dead by Daylight.
Sarah didn't care about the legal threats Wake's agent had made. She let Wake go without argument, because there was something about him she couldn't quite put her finger on. Something that reminded her of her father. She didn't think Wake would hurt his wife. Then she thought about the way he waded into Hartman, that hair-trigger rage flaring up without warning.
You know, Alan, with the amount of woods you appear to go through... Hold that thought. With the amount of woods you go through, you may want to consider taking some safety equipment with you, like a compass. I assumed there was something sinister in the distance I was meant to see, but alas, the enemies kind of prevented that. Trying to tell if that's a light or if there's genuinely a page down there. Ha. Oh. Goodbye, good sir. Respawned right into the light.
The night had been one desperate situation after another. I was exhausted, and my body felt as though it had been chewed up and spat out. The flashlight was heavy in my hand, and each pull of the trigger sent a painful shock up my arm. But I was finally out of the woods, and things were looking up. That's when I heard the chainsaw.
A valiant effort at an ambush. But you're quite loud and obvious. Although knowing the exact way forward would be nice. I do believe it's in that direction. I had not meant to jump like that. But I did want to investigate over this away. It may merely be another way up. Turn, Alan. Alas, it does not look like there was anything this way after all. Again, mayhaps on harder difficulty. But seriously, it quite looks as though there's a path leading off this way, yes? You missed.
I had heard the plane fall. It made no sense. It was clear that it had just fallen here, but it was very old and obviously hadn't flown in decades. Looking at it sent a shiver down my spine.
Well, that is meant to be the way forward, I suppose. But first, let's see what's down this way. I am unsure of which way is the way forward. But given that activated checkpoint, there are arrows, so perhaps this is meant to be a cache. That constant breathing in my ears is growing rather concerning. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I scare you off with the generator? Perhaps it was not wise to chase me in such a direction. Goodbye. The roiling waves of darkness. Concerning. Ow. I'm aware that there's one more, but he appears to be taking his time getting to me. Unfortunately, I don't believe there's anything that I could suckle from your wretched teats. They came off quite strange, I apologize. There are no bodies I cannot feed. Someone should really put a warning on there.
The logging site was a mess. The modular office had been pushed off the cliff. Deputy Thornton climbed up from the wreckage excited, breathing hard from the exertion. Nobody there. It's weird. Don't you think that's weird? Bored, Mulligan let out a mighty snort. Hell, it's always weird, Thornton. Just a question of sorting out what kind of weird it is this time around.
Unfortunately, the weirdness is much stranger than you might expect. And, dare I say, a fair bit darker. That seems like an extremely unnecessary way to travel across.
The visitor center. It made him a believer. The men Al said he'd shot, they hadn't been just locals on crank. Somehow the world had changed, like the channel had been switched without warning. You think you're watching a sitcom, and you're really watching a horror show. When the birds started attacking the cabin, Barry wasn't surprised, just terrified.
Just too many cooks. You know, for something that appears necessary to move forward.
Be aware of Widowmakers.
My apologies for the thrilling comment there. The darkness wears her face. Anyways, as I was saying, you would think if that's necessary to get from point A to point B, they would make sure it was kept in good repair.
Shadows stirred and the wind picked up as I ran through the forest. I felt the dark presence turning its gaze toward me. Then the moonlight was blotted out by dark shadows that raced violently across the ground, moving too swiftly to be natural. Darkness gathered between the trees and melted again to reveal the Taken. No natural path had brought them here.
You know, it occurs to me, which came first, Alan Wake or Destiny? I don't quite recall the years involved, but considering that you have what I'd hesitate to call them regular people, but people who are destroyed or consumed by the darkness and become the Taken, serving another master with strange shadowy powers. Teleportation, cloning. I wonder if there were ever any lawsuits. Ow. Well, to the campgrounds we go. That animation did not appear natural. Ah, that would be the chainsaw. Quite hazardous indeed. Quite prone to getting you filled with lead from poachers. Or at least those seeking to protect themselves from poachers.
Barry?
Ow! The porch is covered with birds. They've got all Hitchcock on me.
Stay out of sight. I'm on my way. Don't open the door.
What am I, crazy?
Stay hidden. I'll be there soon. Just make sure you keep the lights on. I still had to reach Barry at the cabin, but at least I was out of the woods.
Literally speaking, mostly. Metaphorically speaking, no.
have to get the car from the locked garage. It would get me back to Barry faster, and the headlights were a welcome bonus. The FBI agent's command froze me in place. I considered surrender. It was all falling apart anyway. I could give in, let someone else deal with it, but it felt all wrong. Call it instinct, his posture, the way he held the gun. He was no friend. Shots ringing in my ears, I leaped for the hole in the fence and stumbled into the darkness beyond.
An odd place to find ammunition.
I had to find the key to the garage. A story is not a machine that does what you tell it. A story is a beast with a life of its own. You can create it, shape it, but as the story grows, it starts wanting things of its own. Change one thing and you set off a chain reaction of events that spreads through the whole thing. The characters have to be true to themselves. The events need to follow a logic that fits the story. A single flaw and the magic is gone. The story dies. Alice dies.
Concerning. At this rate, this town will be entirely out of television screens. Nothing of interest. That one actually appears to be actively walking away from me. Behold, the jump of least consequence. Oh, this car does not like it going off-road. Just because you're impervious to bullets doesn't mean you're impervious to being run over repeatedly. Oh my gosh, this car does not enjoy going off-road. Well, there goes the car. I do believe there's an achievement for getting through here without the car being destroyed. If that's the case, then perhaps they should not have forced me to go off-road. How curious and convenient that there are other cars. While I don't disapprove of there being alternate pathways forward, it would be a little easier if they were better marked, so that you did not end up moving backward down what you thought was an alternative path. Excuse me. Oh, you're not going to let me through? Alas.
The flare gun was probably the best weapon I could imagine against the dark things I was facing.
Hello. Disappear.
It was the kidnapper.
You son of a bitch! Where's my wife?
Enough horseplay, Wake. You deliver the manuscript, and you can have your woman back. Simple as that.
I don't... Listen. I'm gonna need time to finish it. I still need to write the ending. I need a week.
It's not done?
I need a week.
2 days. The old Bright Falls coal mine is nearby. You can find it easy, city boy. The main building, there at noon. You bring the manuscript, you'll get your wife. If not, well, get me?
Yes, I get you.
That is quite a few birds.
Barry had talked about birds over the phone.
The darkness controls the Taken. You don't say.
Al! Al, I am so glad you're here. A couple of them got in here before I blocked the chimney. This isn't normal. These birds are weird.
Quite a lot of birds. That seems buggy. How many birds do I need to defeat exactly?
Gary, you can open the door now. They're gone.
There we are.
Hey, Al. I'm sorry we were having a episode, man.
I sent
Darn,
Barry
I
to the town
missed.
to ask around about a man fitting the kidnapper's description. He'd go through the archives of the local paper. Perhaps he could learn something. Anything about the island and the cabin that had disappeared. The man wanted a manuscript. I had to try to write him one to get Alice back. For me, the supernatural had always been nothing but a metaphor for the human psyche, a tool to use in writing fiction. Now, it was happening for real, and I couldn't put a single word on paper.
Barry Wheeler speaking.
This is Rose.
Rose?
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Oh, you sweet, brilliant girl.
Could you and Mr. Wake come get them? I live in the trailer park outside the town.
We'll be there in less than an hour.
I know.
See you soon.
Have a great day. Hope you come back soon. Welcome to the old
dear diner.
Good girl.
Well, that's not good. Ah, poor Rose. And now for the section of the VOD that will likely be stripped from existence. And likely the same once I upload this to YouTube. And that was episode 2. A kidnapper, a flock of birds, and a friend. The death of love as love is sought. I do wonder who remains in chat, if at all. As with before, I will be calling it a night and trying to go episode by episode in terms of streaming. My author will be streaming Undertale again tomorrow night, likely finishing his pacifist run. Well, I do suppose so long as someone has not harmed you, it's fine not to harm them in turn. But certain characters have done quite a lot of harm. I wonder who I should raid after this. Actually, I think I know who will raid. One of the moderators and friends of someone I often watch. Her name would be Makari Morph, but the name of her friend who I'll be raiding is Danny the Squirrel. I do apologize if I seemed a bit less talkative than normal, but when the characters do a lot of talking for you, and when there's no one to bounce ideas off of in chat, well, as I said before, I can sympathize with Wake's writer's block.
Previously on Alan Wake, Alice has been kidnapped.
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
I can't tell anyone except my agent Barry.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her. You're my best friend, and I'm worried that you're not right in the head.
The ransom is a manuscript I supposedly wrote that's coming true before my eyes.
It happened just the way it was on that page. So dark.
I have found only a few scattered pages.
I want the entire manuscript.
The deadline is in 2 days.
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Good girl.
How the hell did she get her hands on the manuscript anyway?
And that's where we will return later. Well, actually, at this point, it appears I have nothing but bots in my chat, so I will not, in fact, be raiding. Oh well. But still, I bid all of you a good evening.